Ahoy there, traders! Welcome one, welcome all, welcome back. It's another Friday. It's probably going to be the last one this year. I may do some impromptu stuff between now and the new year, but with it being impromptu, if you're not available, don't worry about it. I usually do some Christmas lectures, as I refer to them. Shamelessly swipe the name from the BBC Christmas lectures. But what can you do about it? Hey, Kyle. Hi to you. Yes, you do periodically catch the good stuff. Well, we've got some good stuff today. We're going to be looking at thinning the herd. And what we're talking about this week in the educational snippet is like, how do you create a universe of stocks? Not a watch list, not what we're looking at today. That's what we quite often do. How do we find something to trade today? Today trades, green light trading is sometimes how I've referred to it in the past. But like, how do we create the universe of stocks that we draw from? Because I don't want to look at every stock every day all of the time. That's my big thing. I've got more important things to do, like sitting in a coffee shop, reading a book, and watching the world go by is far more interesting to me than flicking through chart after chart. But I did that for 12 years, and it suddenly becomes not very pleasant. So as it turns out, that style of trading is great for other people who have got other commitments through the day, like the day job, like family commitments, like other stuff. So we can do really well without straining ourselves, is the point. And that's what we're going to look at today, how to create a universe of strongs, the well that we draw from for all the good stuff. So that's what I've got planning. The usual process, if today is your first day, we've got a few new names. Just a quick hello to some of the other people. Let me just have a little look at the names. Adrian, Anthony, hello. You popped a few comments in the Facebook group, I think, Anthony. I think that's the right Anthony. Brian, class, Colin, hello, Colin, my old school buddy. Duncan Howard, new name. Hello, Ian, long-time regular. Joyce, hello, Joyce. We had a little chat on email earlier in the week. Kyle, as always, Kyle. La Bomba. Oh, that's got to be Paul. Is that Paul? Always going with the La Bomba. Rodrigo, Vito. We got Walt. Hey, Woody. And so I've just skipped down the list. If I've not mentioned your name, it's nothing personal unless your name's Kyle, in which case it is personal. I'm only messing. So we've got a full house of people, which is great. So if you are new today, and there are one or two new people today, the usual process that I like to take is I'm going to spend about 20, 30 minutes looking at the markets, maybe a little bit less this week, because I want to get through the thinning of the herd part of the process today. How do we create a universe of stocks? We've got lots of things to review. The students have been absolutely nailing it in the over-the-shoulder live training. We've been doing a lot of short-term profiting at the open, and I just really want to point out, like I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this a long time, but the students, like, it really is important to me that you can replicate the same success for yourself. So that's what we're going to kind of look at today in the reviewing the portfolio, and then we're very quickly going to move on to thinning the herd. How do we find a universe of stocks to draw from? But as I keep saying, if today is your first first week with us here on these free workshops, I'm not a Wall Street guru. I didn't learn at the feet of Wall Street masters or Fleet Street masters, depending on where you are in the world. I'm just a regular guy who figured it out. Through trial and error, which is the hard way, I might have but I did learn from those mistakes very, very fast. These days, I'm what most people might call a lifestyle trader. Lifestyle to me means that I'm not spending all day doing this. My idea of a lifestyle is just a relaxing, low stress, way of life. My brief backstory is I've got Crohn's disease. So everything that I do is dictated by having a stress-free life. I just want to relax. I want to enjoy myself. and, you know, not be spending all day stressing over whether the markets are going up or down. Despite my commentary on that, I'm really passionate about it. I do love the markets. I just don't want to spend all day looking at the charts anymore. And as I said earlier, I do want to help you see your own measure of success so that you can have whatever you consider a lifestyle. If sitting on the beach is your idea of that, then great. If it's spending more time with the family, then great. Whatever you consider that to be, that's what I want to help you with. So my name's Phil Newton. I've been trading full time since 2001. It was not a space odyssey. Hand-drawing charts since the early 90s, calling most of my trades out in real time. I say most of my trades recently because sometimes it's just impractical to call them out, especially with some of the short-term trading. It's just, they're not timely alerts, so it's just impractical to do it at the moment. But if you're in the live groups, if you're in the chat room, we have a nice Slack community. We've got some insider levels. You know, you'll get what I'm doing as I'm doing it, and that'll push to your mobile phone. This is like a little app widget that you can download on your computer or have on your phone. So that's our trader community. Where were we? Oh yeah, so again, we've been doing this a while is really all I'm trying to essentially get to. And if you need help furthering your trading career, then just know that there's someone that you can ask with you know, all those silly little questions that you may not know that you've had over the years. So let's think about our agenda. Let's go back to our, what are the markets doing? Let's just take a little quick look at the markets. We didn't really do it last week, but the thing that I am watching at the moment is the Dow futures. So this is Dow, the symbol's YM, Dow futures. And I've been watching this, and the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell, they're all kind of making new highs, but the Dow it's usually the one that's talked about on the news the most, but it's not usually the one that is like professional traders are watching. Like they usually, me personally, I'm usually looking at the S&P, but this is what's catching my attention. The headline is, will 30,000 hold for the year end? I'm looking at, just looking at the 60-minute chart, I'm looking at this 30,250. I think if we can get a break above that, that might just tip the markets into what could be a pretty good end of year rally, and the Santa rally to end all Santa rallies. And there's a little bit of a misnomer with Santa rallies. The markets generally drift upwards, and the Santa rally is the 5 days usually before the end of the year, and the first 2 or 3 days in the new year. So it's a 7-day period, the last week overlapping the new year essentially, and it has a positive bias. And it's usually in the 0.3% range. It's usually not lots. It's usually not a lot, which always makes me laugh. So everyone, the news continually goes on about the Santa rally, but the official stats are, it's a 5-day period. But the way that the markets are going this year, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw, you know, a significant move. And if this pattern, this consolidation, this rising wedge is how it might be described, if that was to break, then, you know, we could start to see the start of that, you know, pre-holiday season rally that may then lead into a good end of year Santa rally. And again, I can almost hear the talking heads having little trade gasms over the market movements, because it gives them something to talk about over the holiday period. So now the downside to this pattern is we've got this, again, it's sometimes referred to as a coiled spring. It's compressing, it's compressing, it's compressing. So it is setting up for an explosive movement. The move into them usually dictates the direction of the breakout about 60 to 65% of the time. So there's a bullish bias with most consolidations. But then we can't discount the possibility that about 35, 40% of the time, it's going to go down. You know, there is that possibility. The markets can go down. Maybe we see something like that, you know, just 2 or 3 days, just 2 or 3 days, just 2 or 3 days. You know, we could see a big 2 or 3 day sell-off if that breaks. And if that was going to happen over the next, you know, 1 to 2 weeks and into the new year, and have the Santa sell-off, essentially, if that were to happen, that typically and historically sets a precedent for we're going into a bear market for 2021. It's usually a good indication. So this is one reason why a lot of people do look at it. It usually sets the tone for the following year. So if it's a bullish bias, we may see a good 2021 from the market's point of view. If it's a bearish bias in that last week, then usually there's a bearish sentiment going into 2021. And it's probably all psychological than practical. But the numbers, if you look at the phenomenon as a Santa rally, it kind of lends some truth to that expectation. So that's what I'm thinking. So what's catching my eye is that 3250, trying to bop it overnight in these are the futures that they essentially trade 24 hours, but trying to bop it in the overnight futures. So it could be that we're going to see again with the rally retracement, it's just winding up, it keeps attempting to move higher. I think we're going to do it today. Triple witching, we've got lots of liquidity events going on in the day for the moment. Give me a second. Cats decide to destroy something in the next room. So maybe we see that. Maybe we see that move on. Maybe the start of it is going to be today. Again, when we look at the other markets, the other indexes, let's take a look at the S&P. The S&P is already doing it. You wouldn't think that it's making new highs. It's looking like it's the same, but it's more this rising channel. It's pumping higher. We're starting to see elevated volume come into the futures, which just lends weight to, well, it's already started moving. It's just it's more like a coiled spring on the Dow. Excuse me. Again, NASDAQ, you wouldn't think anything out of the ordinary is going on. We've got that breach of the new high. There's the breakout. There's the pullback. And that's very classic type of pattern. What's interesting now that I've got the daily chart on here is you can see exactly the same pattern on the 60-minute charts. It's almost like an inception, move into, this is the 60-minute charts. This is the daily charts. You got this like inception rally into the consolidation. We've got the breakout here. And usually, again, as I've mentioned, it's about 65% of the time, the move into the consolidation dictates the direction of the breakouts. There's the breakout, and there's the same thing on the 60-minute charts. The move in, we've got the consolidation. There's the breakout pullback overnight. It's already started moving. So the NASDAQ suggesting a nice bullish Friday. It's looking very strong. Out of all the indexes that we've looked at so far, it's looking the best. Let's take a look at Russell. Russell's leading the charge. Look at that. What pandemic? There's nothing wrong with the economy. What are you doing? That's what the Russell's saying here. There's nothing wrong with the economy. Pandemic? What pandemic? What's this COVID thing that everyone's talking about? That's what the Russell's saying. Just carry on regardless. I still think that there's going to be the piper's got to be paid. The piper has got to be paid for everything that's going on at the moment. It's the gulf between Wall Street and Main Street still concerns me. But it's undeniable that the market's going up. So, buy the dip. That's all we've got to do. Just smash the buy button. Just be aware that, again, I do think we're going to be expecting a crash. Prior to the 2008 crash, I was talking about the 2008 crash for 2 years. And the fact that we've not had kind of a retest of the lows from back in March, which has left every institutional and professional, money manager kind of scratching their heads. The fact that we've not had it is concerning because historically that's what was to be expected. Again, the gulf between Wall Street and Main Street is very concerning. So I think long term, we could be talking 6, 8, 12 months. The Fed's got you back at the moment. We're probably not going to see a correction, a deep retracement. Some people might call it a crash if the speed of that movement is in a short space of time. But just be aware, buyer beware. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, with that said, market's going up, buy the dip. My focus, as you've seen over the last couple of months, has moved to super short term, mainly because of this. Like trying to figure out like the gulf between Wall Street and Main Street for swing trades in the stereotypical way. It's like every anyone who's been doing this for any length of time left scratching their head. So let's not worry about which way the market's going today, up or down. My focus has been in very short term nature and essentially just enjoying profiting at the open. And that brings us on to the types of scan that we do for for short-term stocks, what is potentially a great trade today? Again, I've already done this and I've already shortlisted, but I've got my universe of stocks, and I'm going to explain to you shortly how I actually create the universe of stocks. But I'm only looking at about scroll down. I'm only looking at about 300 stocks that are things that I want to trade. And again, I need to update this list. There's a few things missing from it, because obviously there's new stocks that suddenly become worth trading. But when we've got this universe of stocks, because I'm not looking at every possible stock. There's quite literally, 20,000 plus stocks just on the US markets alone. So there's lots of stocks. I don't want to scan 20,000 stocks every day. What I do want to do is just like sift off the cream. Which are the best ones to look for opportunities? I'm not trading penny stocks. I'm not interested in them. I'm not interested in low floats. I want liquidity. I know I'm going to trade options, so they need options, all those sorts of things. So that gives me this. We're going to look at that in more detail in a moment when it's, we're going to see how to trim the herd. But when we're looking for stocks, so take that universe and trying to find something to trade today, then you just saw me do it, just sort the column. And at the moment, I've got into the habit of sorting by volume, and we've got such a wealth of pre-market activity. We've got about 15 minutes before the market opens, and already there's 17 stocks that have 100,000 shares traded in the pre-market. That's a lot. That's a lot of stocks with a lot of pre-market volume. Normally, you would see one, maybe two a week. Out of this universe of stocks that I use, maybe one or two a week is what you would see. And we're seeing about 17 plus. Sometimes we're seeing, 30 plus, the big list, everything's got lots of pre-market activity. So we're seeing a lot of what could be an institutional footprint, because let's face it, retail traders, they're not putting that sort of volume through in the pre-markets, even collectively. So this has got to be institutional activity. This is why I like to look for it. So what we have is, again, lots of 100,000 stocks. If we were looking at something to trade in the pre-market or looking at pre-market volume, then 10, 20, 30,000 shares would be that's kind of unusual. But right now, 100,000 is kind of a norm, because if you look down the list, there's 40, 50, 60 stocks, 70, 80. There we go. So just today, and it's a pretty quiet day, 65 stocks with 20,000 shares traded in the pre-market. So I want to try and trim that as much as possible. So that's one reason why I'm looking for the institutional traders, the ones that have certainly 50, 60, 70, 80, definitely anything above 100,000 shares. That's probably institutional trading. Tesla in the pre-market, when you start watching this for any length of time, bear in mind, we've not looked at a chart yet, but when you start looking at it, can you see it's just racking up volume like a pinball machine high score, ding, 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 new high score, new high score. It's already done 2.5 million shares already. Now, normal pre-market, and we've commented on this over the last several weeks, a normal pre-markets for Tesla is maybe 400 to 600,000 shares in the pre-market. That would be kind of normal for Tesla. So the fact that it's done 2.5 million shares, that tells me that something interesting is going on. Then when you factor in the 2.5%, we know it's being promoted to the index. We know that's happening on Monday. But when you factor in the fact that the 2.5% move, so we've got a gap in the market, it's probably going to be sustained because we've got huge pre-market volume and elevated interest, and that's institutional traders. There may be a few retail traders, but the Johnny One lots are not moving the market. The institutional traders, the money flow. This is what a footprint looks like, and you're not going to see this on low float stocks. You're not going to see this on penny stocks. And sure, there are strategies that trade low floats and penny stocks. And I know people who make a great success of it, but it's not my trading style. I want to be able to do what we've just done. I want to click a column. I don't want to read the news. I don't want to read market reports. I don't want to flick through thousands of charts. I don't want to guess as to if this is going to work. So yeah, other styles of trading work nicely. Again, looking for low floats, looking for penny stocks. I want to be able to get in a trade and get out of trade. I also want to trade it with options. So this is why I'm trading highly liquid stocks, highly tradable. I want to get in at a good price and out at a good price. And I don't want to worry about whether the stock's going to be halted, which is a regular occurrence for low floats and penny stocks. The amount of nightmare stories that I've heard for people who can't get out of a position. Kodak springs to mind. People getting in at the top of the movements, when it went from, $2, $3, $4 all the way up to $50, and then it crashed from 50 down to 30, and they're on the wrong side of that because there's no liquidity, that the stock's halted, they can't get out. Weird stuff happens. You don't typically see that with the big headliners. So another reason why I want to trim the herd and look for the best stocks, the best opportunities, the greatest liquidity, the easiest patterns, because it's going to enhance the flavor of the opportunity that we're looking for. So anyway, Tesla's looking great. So Tesla's on my watch list. Apple's already on it's one of my core stocks. But we got 1.5 million shares traded already. That's looking good. It's not been active in the pre-market recently, but now we're just looking at it. Can we see we've got this kind of range? We've got the breakout, just like we looked at with the indexes, the Dow and the S&P breaking out of, through this consolidation here. So this could be bringing fresh buyers in, and we're seeing that in the pre-market. So we've not really got a gap as such, but we've been watching this in our little insider community of profiting at the open in our live sessions. So this could be a great candidate. If it pops above $30, there's nothing really to stop it from getting to 135, 140 range. It could have a nice little gap and go. On one of my time frames on this is the daily top right. I've got the 60 top left and I've got the 5 bottom left. I'm focusing most of my attention for the moment just on my what's interesting today scan. Most of it on the daily, and I'm just having a look at the 60-minute, and it's got the pre-market on there. And again, Apple, you can see the pre-market's a little bit of a darker shading, and that's the post-market yesterday. So that the brighter colors are usually the regular market activity. So that just helps to maybe explain this layout. So I'm just focusing my attention on the daily charts. So it's a very much a top-down approach is what I'm essentially doing to try and figure out, okay, well, what's worth my time? What's worth my attention? What's worth trading? So we have a stock like Apple, elevated volume, a stock like Tesla, elevated volume. Let's go and take a look at Tesla since we've just been talking about it. It's up $15 in the pre-markets. That's trading activity. And again, post-market, you can see this small consolidation, but we've got the daily chart here, big rally. It's paused for half dozen days. We've got this thrust through 655 level. So it's breaking to new highs. It's obviously been promoted to the index. So it's going to be a major contributing factor to whether the index, the market is up or down. So this could have a major influence from Monday onwards. It's not in it yet, but this could be people, institutional traders who, and again, this is probably what's causing this rally because this has been known for the last several days, several weeks. The people who, or traders and institutions and funds who track the index's movements, they're going to be switching Tesla into their portfolio and several stocks out because of the index recalculating itself. So this is probably what's driving Tesla in the short term. It's that institutional money flow going in and out. And we're seeing a lot more of it happen today. So this is institutional trader, institutional buying. It's setting up a lovely technical pattern for a continuation. So it just all suggests that, hey, it's going to move higher. And with there's 2.5 million shares in the last 2 hours traded that we can see on this 5-minute chart. That really makes it look super interesting for me. So maybe we can see a quick gap and go, a momentum type of setup that would drive Tesla higher today in the short term. So that makes it super interesting. Other things that we can do, I'm just going to resort the columns by the percentage change. Usually I'm looking for anything in excess of 1.5%, 2%. So on the bear side, because again, there's bearish opportunities. So everything that everything that I'm just highlighting, just bear with me a second. So there we go. So everything that I'm just highlighting, we've got 5, 6 stocks on the bearish side. We've got 1.5% down on row number 5 there, mRNA, and we've got 600,000 shares traded. So this gain could be interesting. If you notice, it's doing a pattern similar to Tesla, but this time it's trying to move a little bit lower. But maybe this is one of the COVID stocks. Maybe it's just going to push higher because, again, we're seeing a lot of news. We're seeing a lot of volume in the pre-markets. It's for the moment down, but it's just highlighting that, hey, there's a lot of institutional traders that are pushing this stock around. There's a lot of interest at the moment. Maybe I keep an eye on it. Cheers, Anthony. Have a great one. You see, you've got to leave there. The recording will be available later in the Slack group. But maybe it's just going to be an interesting stock to keep an eye on. Same with FedEx. FedEx has got earnings, so we know that there's news. I can see we're down 2.5%. There's 200,000 shares traded in the pre-markets. We can see that big sell-off going through this prior range. A little bit of an attempt to move higher on FedEx. Same sort of pattern on FedEx, but this time it looks like it's failing to continue. We can see that the earnings is gapping down. So maybe I'm going to be biased to the bear side. Maybe if it goes below 282, which is about there, then there's nothing really in its way if you look down and left to 260. So we could be looking at a lovely gap and go on the bear side. For today, maybe the next few days, there could be some great trading opportunities. And all we've done is we've looked at, okay, well, what's moving in the pre-market? So again, looking at it the other way, anything above here, sort of 1.5%, 2%, there's only 10 stocks to look at. But then when we marry them up with, is there any pre-market volume? Then there's only 2 or 3 that really stand out. Square looks awesome. SQ, 100,000 shares in the pre-market. It's up 1.5%. Tesla, we've already spotted. It's up 1.8%. Let's see, Baidu, 75,000 shares, up 1.5%. So we can start to spot really great opportunities. So although I've got a big universe of stocks, I only need to look at 3 of them today. Does that make sense? Let me just pause there while I can take a quick drink. But does everyone see why the importance of, first of all, having a universe to draw from, and then secondly, to look for the best stocks today in that best stock list already? Does everyone see the value in having that? So I'm not looking at every stock every day all the time. I'm never looking at every stock every day all the time. I'm looking at the best stocks. That's my top 350 or so. And then from that list, I'm looking at, in this case, the top 3 bulls, and we spotted 2 bears. So really, I've only got 5 stocks to look at today. 5 stocks. That's all I need to keep an eye on. So does that make sense? Everyone happy with the logic of how do we find something to trade? And as always, it takes longer to explain than to actually do. You've seen how quick it is. There's nothing complex about it. It's just what looks the most interesting. Awesome. Thank you, Ezekiel. Thank you for your feedback, folks. Right. So that's what I'm looking at. So I've got my favorite stocks that I'm looking at for today. I've got a few others. I've got SpongeBob SquarePants on the go. So Square's looking good. PayPal's on my list for yesterday. We've been watching this for swing trades. We've had some great trades. We've been watching the swing there. I've got FedEx, which we've just spotted. I've got big charts now, 5-minute charts. Moderna, he's looking interesting. Huge market volume, not necessarily a big gap, but it has been on and off the this looks interesting list because of all the news going on in the pharmaceutical sector at the moment. Because of the news element, you may want to take a look at things like Pfizer, Moderna. You can go look at sector stocks just to kind of follow us down the rabbit hole. And obviously the one that we were just focused on was Tesla there. So we've got a few stocks that look interesting. Core stocks for me usually are Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, QCOM, and BA. That list changes every couple of weeks, but usually it's going to be Apple, and everything else is interchangeable. It's just a list of stocks, 3 or 4 stocks that regularly set up on a regular basis. And so that's what I'm looking for there. So I've only got a few stocks, and usually from that I can find 1 or 2 stocks which look absolutely fabulous. So what do the trades look like? Again, this week we've had an absolutely awesome haul of an awesome haul. Everyone's been awesome this week. Again, it's not always about highlighting my own trades, and we've got like 20 trades in this week. It's been awesome. You've all done fantastic. I know some of you have got some of you are over the shoulder, and we're trading after the open. We're in our little insider community, but just to kind of highlight, like, these are the trades that, like, mainly from students. So it's not about me and look how great I am. Like, this is great. I mean, Ezekiel, I know you're here today. You had an awesome session here. So this is one of Ezekiel's. We had Rodrigo as well. Zach's had, and Ruben had some love on this. Is my trade, just so you can see the broke statements. They're not all winners. Again, we keep highlighting this. Usually around, again, it typically average out about 63% of the time we're making money. We're making the right decisions. And it's the same with these short-term strategies as well. When everything's going, it goes nicely. But when it's not going, we want to chop that quickly as possible. So we're out of the trades quickly. And again, here's Square. Again, broke statements on the screen there. But you can see the same trades. Again, lots of student success, lots of love there. We've got Disney. I had that, I think that was last week, wasn't it? We got QCOM bearish trade. Again, Disney trade from the students. Again, Stuart and Kyle absolutely crushing it. QCOM again, that was the following day. We've got Disney on a different day. Again, some awesome trading there. 23% return on capital. First Solar, 10% return on capital. 10% in like an hour. So it's pretty awesome. Amazon, 35% return in 30 minutes. Again, well done, Kevin. I don't think you're here today, Kevin. Shopify. Again, 12% return on Shopify in 4 minutes. It did more, but you can't expect that. But it did what we wanted in a very short space of time. We've got QCOM again. We've had some great love on QCOM. This is one of our core stocks at the moment. It trades well. Again, 21% in a very short space of time. Again, these are all student wins. So none of them are mine. That's why I'm not showing the broker statements. These are what my students are telling me. 25% return on capital. Again, Colin, I know you're here. Well done. SQ, we've again been in and out of SQ all this week, along with PayPal, another PayPal trade, 25% return on capital. These are all intraday trades, anywhere from a few minutes to maybe 1 to 2 hours. This particular one was 3 hours. And again, we've got PayPal again there. This is a great one. Stuart, I know you're here. Awesome job. But this is one we've been trading for the swing. So all that means that we've held it overnight for 2 or 3 days, and 143% return on capital. We found this from the day trade scan that we've just done, and it turned out we've got great potential for, more than just $1 or $2. We had, in this case, $8+ available in just 2 days. So this has been another great trading opportunity. So these are, again, the student wins from this week and a couple from last week. So just like this process that we just went through, how do we find today's stocks? And then we've gone and traded them. This is what we're doing every day. So this is how we're finding those stocks, those opportunities. And as we're looking at this, we've got Tesla's on the go. Again, unsurprisingly, it's moving higher. That is one of the stocks. Again, Square was one of the stocks that we were looking at. My platform's just frozen for a second. All the data's catching up. So unsurprisingly, these stocks do tend to move quite nicely. PayPal starting to, again, go again. Moderna, we thought it was going to be bearish, but Moderna's starting to move lower. No action needs to be taken for the moment. I'm not scalping on 2-minute charts. I'm on a 5-minute chart. This strategy takes a minimum of 20 minutes for me to set up. You can trade on 20 minutes on a 5-minute chart. So I don't need to do anything for about 20, 25 minutes. So I can just quite literally check in at 10 a.m. Eastern and look for the setup. The setup's either there or it's not there that I'm looking to trade. So while we're waiting, let's take a look at, drum roll please, today's educational piece, thinning the herd. How do we create a universe of stocks that makes sense in quite literally the dollar sense and the understanding sense? So we can do a few things. How do we create a list of stocks? The first thing that you could do is you can go and download the pre-filtered list that I've already done. You can go to my website, antivestor.com/best-stocks. It's on the blog. You can go and have a look at the blog on my website, and you can pretty much input your email and it will give you this stock list that we're about to create. To create the universe, we're going to go and do it now. I usually do this once a year, maybe twice a year. So I'm doing it right now. I'm a little bit late. I would normally have done it by now, but we're winding down for the year, and it's something that we're going to do, and I'm going to show you how we do it. So where do we get the universe of stocks from? I've got a few criteria that I like to use. One of them is I need, not necessarily need, it's not essential, but I know I'm going to trade stock options. So wouldn't it be great if, I don't know, someone had created a stock list that already had, these are all the stocks that have tradable options. It would be great if something happens where that was possible. Well, it's funny you should say that, because if you go to the same blog link, there'll be a link that will take you to the CBOE, Chicago Board of Options Exchange. There's an exchange that specializes in options. It's called the CBOE, Chicago Board of Option Exchange. And they've already created the list. They're saying, hey, here's our list of options. Go and trade them. And you can download that copy. You can download it right there. So if you want to, I'm going to teach you how to suck eggs now. If you want to have a look at how to do this, go to Google and type in list of stocks with options. Like, it can't get any simpler. If you need the, it also helps if you spell options right, but if you need help with it, you can just go and Google it, and you'll get a list of places with potential things. You kind of got to dip in and out. You could also go to barcharts.com. They will do the most active stocks for today. So this is today. It's not necessarily all time, but you're going to get a list of all the most active stocks with options. They explain how they create it, but more importantly, if you want to download a copy, you can download it. It's going to give you about 500 stocks. That's all we want. So we're going to take the 25,000 or so stocks with all the listed and the pink sheets and all the other bullshit that's in the markets. You're going to come straight away down to 500 stocks. And if you did nothing else but that, it's a better list of stocks than looking at every chart every day all the time. You're only going to have the best opportunities. And as I've said, you can go to my website, which will be AntiVestor.com and then just go to the blog. Actually, just go to the blog and you'll see the stock list. That'll take you there. You can download it. You've got the link to that, the CBOE site. It tells you what we're going to do. We're going to go through this process right now. How do we create a list of stocks? And again, the CBOE website, all you would do is just click on the download link. And again, it's going to give you about 500 stocks to play with. And that's all we want. We want the best stocks possible to give us the best opportunity, the best foot forward. So that's where we're at for the moment. So the next thing that we're going to consider is we then need to, just bear with me, we then need to import that list. If you've got a good platform, so we've got an empty stock list here. So if you've got a good platform, you can just import the list. So I can go to insert. So the other way of doing it would be to go to your charting platform and go insert symbol list. And TradingView can do this if you've got the online tool. They've got pre-built lists. You can go to TradeStation, which is what I'm using. Multicharts will do it. Your broker should have pre-built lists. I know Thinkorswim does. Tastyworks should do, but they'll have a list of stocks kind of already pre-built. So if you don't want to do the heavy lifting, then some things are already done for you. And this is one of those things that's already done. So the list of stocks that I mentioned with the CBOE, if you download it, you're going to get a little spreadsheet. And in this case, I've got about 600 stocks from the CBOE. Now, all I've got here is these are the stocks with weekly options. So there should be the more liquid of the stocks. So I can just copy that, fingers crossed, right-click copy, bam. So all I'm doing is copying the symbols. And where's my TradeStation? I'm just going to paste it into all stocks. And through the magic and power of technology, there we go. Through the magic and I was holding my breath because sometimes when I do this, TradeStation likes to go, no, I don't like you doing that. And then it crashes on me. So sometimes the downside to doing this. So what I've ended up with is I've imported, I've just copied and pasted. It's just a fancy way of saying it. The list of stocks that I have. And what it's doing now is it's pre-populating just some of the things that I like to look for. And where's my, there we go. So some of the things that I like to look for, I like to look for liquid stocks. I like to look, and this is on my blog. So if you want to kind of read this, and it's not changed, I wrote it several years ago, it's not changed. I'm going to look for liquid stocks. So we've already done that by the nature of looking for stocks with options. Because again, a lot of stocks don't have options because it's not worth it. I'm usually looking for stocks of at least $30. So I'm not looking for penny stocks. So we're going to do that in a moment. I'm going to eliminate all the low dollar stocks. At the moment, because we've had such a huge run on price, I like $100 stocks because certainly for the short-term stuff, I know I'm going to trade options. So I want the dollar movement to be transferred into the option. And it's easier to get a $1 move or a 1% move on a $100 stock than it is to get a $1 move on a $20 stock. Like, which is easier? Like, you know what I mean? So it's easy to get a $1 move or a 1% move or a $2 move on a $200. It's easier to do that than to get it on a $10 or $20 stock. There's a percentage of movement. Like, one's easier than the other. I'm sure that makes sense for you, but sometimes I have to point it out. Again, it's optional. I'm looking for a good range of movements. So if we focus on high dollar stocks, we'll probably have a good range of movements. I'm looking for option volume. We're going to look at that in a moment. I'm going to look at, this one's a little bit subjective because it's one of those things that changes. But like, you can play that by ear. Again, number 7's optional. If you'll pardon the pun, it's a choice. You could have a super selective list. That's what I refer to as my core stocks. So I've got 5 or 6 stocks that I look at every day, which are household names. It's Apple's, it's Boeing's, it's Microsoft's. You know, they're going to be a little bit more active, especially if it's a household name. So if you need that list, you can go there. So that's what we're going to go through right now to create that universe. And again, all we did was went to the CBOE website, downloaded their weekly options, and then that's what gives me this. So now what I'm going to do is I've got some built-in indicators. Again, all platforms should have this, but I can sort the stocks here. So all I'm going to do is going to say the average over the last 100 days, the average over 100 days is 1 million shares. So I'm just extending that. The average volume is going to be 1 million shares. One, pinkies to the mouth, everyone, million. So this is liquidity. If you've got a lot of volume, it's going to be highly traded. It's going to be, well traded, which is what we're looking for. Let me just check my positions. Bear with me a second. So we're looking for well-traded stocks is the point. So let me just click OK. Oh, come on. There we go. So it's just going to collect the data. It's going to recalculate everything. Maybe my platform has a little hissy fit, but just give it a second. There we go. Keep in mind, it's calculating that for 600 stocks. So that's pretty fast, So what I'm going to do is going to sort out my stocks. I'm going to sort out the bottom. Can we see that we've already trimmed the herd? Scroll down, we can get rid of several of those stocks. I can get rid of the stocks from here onwards. So if I just put a break there, I can get rid of about 100 stocks straight away. I can get rid of about 100 stocks straight away. That's pretty cool. So I'm happy with that. So we're down to a little over 500. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sort by the stock price. Can we see that we've got one here? It's a penny stock. Already established. I'm not interested in penny stocks. So I'm going to sort the biggest to the smallest. I'm going to scroll down. I'm just going to go straight down to the definitely nothing under $10. So I'm just going to go to here. It's about $12. It's just randomly selected. I'm going to put a break in there. So I'm eliminating everything under $10. And the reality is probably not going to trade anything under $20, $20, $25. And I'm going to be honest, let's cut it off at $50. Again, because I know I'm going to trade options. I will trade things that are lower than $50 or $100 or $75. But I'm just trying to make it easy on myself. What's going to give me the best opportunity? Now, what I can do is I can come back into these and I can just say, these are $50 stocks. So I can have a little reminder like, okay, these are $50 stocks. If I want to do that, then that's fine. If you want to trade stock, that's fine. If you want to trade penny stocks that are potentially moving, again, a big movement on a penny, on a $10 stock is going to be, 20, 30 cents. I'm definitely going to get rid of these. These are penny stocks. I never want to trade these. I'm never going to do it. But they have options, but it's probably not worth doing anything with them. So now what we've ended up with, here we go. Now we've not looked at the chart yet, but now I've got down to 450. That's okay. That's okay. My apologies. Let's do it again. So we're now down to anything above $50 with 1 million shares traded. So let's just do this. So we've got $50 plus 1 million shares. I already know that these have got options. And then what we can start doing is looking for stocks that have a high beta or a low beta. So what that means, beta in this context, and all this should be built in. You've got all these tools available to you. A beta stock or high beta or low beta is if the S&P, the SPY moves $1, if it goes $1 up, then Apple is going to move greater than or move down less than $1. So if the SPY, the S&P moved up $1 and Apple moved up, and because this is Apple, Apple moves up $2, then the beta of Apple is 2. Does everyone get that? It outperforms, it outmaneuvers the market. Let me just pause there. So that's what beta is. I explain that on the blog article as well. So if you need some extra. So for the moment, I've got 280 stocks. I probably don't need to go any further. I've got stocks that are over $50. I've got stocks that trade 1 million shares. And if I want to make this list smaller and maybe take it down to just stocks that historically and typically like outperform the market. So here we go. Here's one. EOG there. EOG has a beta of 2. So that meets this requirement. If the S&P moves up $1, then EOG is going to move $2. That's the theory of beta. Not practical. It doesn't work all the time, but that's historically what it does. It's got a high beta. So if I want to make that list smaller, then I can do. For what I want to do, I don't think I need to worry about it. So this is the list that I end up with. So now what I can do, well, we did it earlier. I can do my volume scan if I want pre-market. The market's open, so I'm not going to do that. But I can sort by percentage change, and I've got all the best stocks, all the most liquid stocks that typically and regularly and historically move. There's going to be 1 or 2 that, they probably don't move that much, like CNC here. It's got a beta of 0.5. So maybe I don't worry about the stocks. Again, remember, I'm looking for a stock that can move $1. Again, we've got lots of blanks here. So it's just that my platform's not picking up the beta for this stock, and that's okay. I've got a few ETFs there. I'm not going to worry about the ETFs. Again, I'm looking for stocks as opposed to ETFs. Stocks typically move more. But what I can do is I can just go back to the top of my list and I can sort by the stocks. I can see that mRNA, one of our stocks that we scanned for earlier, is doing some movements. Now, this next part, this last part, this is just one of those personal preferences. So I've now got about 300 stocks that I can, that's my universe. That's my wellspring to draw from. I've got the daily charts here, I've got the weekly charts here, and I've got the monthly charts here. So same sort of setup. So what I can start doing, and this is the laborious part of it, and it's a little bit time consuming. I'm going to look at every chart every day, all of the time. I'm going to do it once. And what I'm looking for, and just to give you an idea, I'm not going to do it now because it'll take me a couple of hours. I'll probably spread this over a few days. I'm just going to go through them very quickly. And I'm just looking for, is this a shitty chart? Like, is this a crappy, like it's dead in the water? So like this one here, we can see JUNG. This is the gold miners ETF. You can probably take the ETF off. So I'm just going to press delete. I'm not going to worry about JUNG, JNUG, gold miners ETF. It's flat in the water. It's not really doing much. It's a leveraged ETF. I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm just looking for a stock, like stocks, just looking at the daily, the weekly, the monthly. I'm probably focusing more on the monthly at the moment, just because, hey, you know, it just gives me the longest view. I can look back over multiple years and just check it out. So CI, it's kind of range bound. It looks like it's moving. It's got a great range of movements. So again, although it's in a range, it trends up and down the range. So just because price is moving sideways doesn't necessarily mean I'm not going to trade it. It just means that maybe it's in a range. Maybe I can do other things. So again, you just see me doing it. Again, we can see prices, again, moving like this is lift. Nuggets, NUGE. Let's take Nugget off. This is another gold ETF. It's VLO. So this takes a little bit of time, as you can appreciate. It's just looking for charts that are horrible. We've not necessarily found one. But if I just go down to the penny stocks at the bottom, we're probably going to zoom in on one straight away. So let's check out some penny stocks, and let's see if we can give you a quick example of like, what does a horrible stock look like? What am I looking for that would mean, you know what, don't trade this. Sorry, just bear with me. Oh, there we go. Let's try that one. $4 stock. It's called me a liar. So this is Macy's. So this is, I'm looking for something that's like that, that's kind of flat most of the time. Yeah, monthly chart's down here on the left. Oh, you're right. It's showing the weekly, isn't it? It should be the monthly. Let's do that. Good spot, Ezekiel. Good spot. Let's check that. Let's change that. My here's one I prepared earlier didn't prepare itself earlier. Here we go. Good find. There we go. That's what we're looking for. That's why I keep you around, Ezekiel. You always spot the good stuff. So I'm looking for something that is a messy chart. I've got to admit, I'm not seeing it on the lower dollar stocks. I thought probably Tilray is a good example. I'm looking for stocks that are maybe up a day, down a day, up a day, down a day. I'm looking for, again, those stocks that, again, this is the weekly, those stocks that just flatline. They don't really do anything. I want to exclude those from the list. That's what I'm looking for. Kodak might be a good example. This is a good example. Like, I want to get rid of those stocks. They're up a day, down a day, up a day, down a day, up a day, down a day. They're not really going anywhere. They're not really doing anything. So let's not worry about those stocks. Usually we'll get them excluded anyway, but because of the volume filter, the option filter, the price filter, that should get rid of most of them. And again, we end up with about 280 of the high dollar stocks that have good average volume, that typically move and shake, that gives me a daily opportunity to draw from every day, that may be doing really well. So again, just looking down the list now, again, we can sort the new list. There's going to be a few stocks that I have not traded either before or at all. EA, for example, number 70 in there. I know that previously was on my, you can see it on the monthlies. This was on my, for a while, it was just on my shit list. It was just not a stock that I would trade several years ago because it was kind of in that $20 range. Now it's moving and shaking. It's moving nicely. It's back in that $100 or more range. So this deserves to be back on the list because it's kind of that high dollar, high value stock. It's got the option. It's got the volume. Again, it kind of fell out of flavor a few years ago. So I know that is going to be a new, I've traded it in the past, but it's going to be a new stock for something for me to scan for the, kind of drawing from the wellspring. Beta's a little bit low, but it's almost $1. But nonetheless, it's got the high dollar movements. So again, I know that's going to be something that is potentially going to regularly show up as a candidate. This is my new stock list. I'll have this in the spreadsheet. So when you go to download it, so if you want to just go with the, again, I'm going to go through it manually. It's going to be another week. So I need to have a visual inspection. I always do a visual inspection. So if you want this copy, just leave it a week or two. Or if you're in the Slack group, I'll make the announcement, and the latest version of the stocks will be uploaded in about a week. I'll be doing it over the weekend and over the next few days, just kind of fine tuning it, make sure that nothing slipped through the nets. I've always also got a few stocks that probably I've cut off the list. I've trimmed from the herd, but I like trading them. So there's going to be a few manual inclusions and a few manual exclusions. So I just need to go through and do that. It's not necessarily essential, but it's just I like trading certain stocks, and it's one of those personal preference things. But ultimately, that's how I'm finding stocks to trade, folks. And that was thinning the herd. So it's a little bit time intensive. I kind of rattled through it quite quickly. We zipped through it in about 20 minutes. It took me about 20 minutes just to download, find the latest version of the links for the CBOE, and just download it and get them in the spreadsheets and all that. So it took me about 20 minutes just kind of noodling around. So it'll probably take you about an hour if you were going to do this yourself manually. TradeStation manipulation of this data, it does make it a little bit easier. If you're doing this on something like TradingView, it might take you a while to massage and manipulate the spreadsheet. So it's going to be a different experience depending on the platform that you use. But if you want the finished product and the pre-built list, give it a few days and it'll be ready to download. I'll have done all the hard work for you, but I'm looking for the best stocks to trade, the most liquid, they're optionable, they move and shake, they ebb and flow, they provide 3 or 4 trading opportunities every single day that could have explosive potential. And that's the wellspring that I'm drawing from every day when we're doing the green lights. Is there something to trade? Is there a day trade, or is it not today? We found 5 stocks earlier, and that's the universe of stocks that I'm drawing from, the wellspring that gives me those 5 stocks, because we don't need to look at every stock every day all of the time. We just need to take the cream of the crop and then look for the cream of the crop. And that's the way I like to do it. We're a little bit ahead of schedule, folks. We're right on time for a change. Thank you for your time. This one was a little bit spreadsheety, less charty, but this is one of the important things that I do. I only need to do this like once, twice a year. It's not an essential need to do it every month. I used to do it every month, but over the period of years, you kind of realize like it's the same stocks on the list. There's maybe 2 or 3 on, 2 or 3 off. So do it once, twice a year, every 6 months. And it will just give you the freshest list, the best stocks. Maybe there's a few stocks that go on the list, a few stocks come on. Like I know Neo, for example, has gone on. Beyond Meat's going on the list. EA's going on the list, and older stock. So there's going to be some newer stock listings that would go on the list. You only pick those up every 6 months, so don't worry if there's 1 or 2 that everyone's talking about that aren't on the list. Like Tilray, everyone talks about Tilray. And yet it's a shit stock. It's just not worth trading, but yet everyone goes crazy for it. But it gets the headlines, but it's not worth our time for the things that we want to do. Anyway, so that was thinning the herd, creating a universe of stocks. It's an infrequent thing, but it is an important thing to be done. And again, it just means that we're looking for the best stocks, or we're looking for the best stocks from a list of the best stocks. And that's the most important thing for me. That is thinning the herd. So thank you for your time. I think that was a great place to finish the year on the workshops. The workshops will resume in the new year in 3 weeks time. I may be doing impromptu sessions, so if you're in the Slack group, you'll get the notification about that. But that was Thing of the Herd. That was how do we create a universe. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. It really is appreciated that you spend time with me. If you do need some more help, my main focus at the moment is a very short-term strategy, profiting at the open from explosive moves. We've looked at today how to find stocks in multiple ways that are specifically for this strategy. So if you do need a little bit more help with advancing and speeding up your learning curve, my current focus is helping you find short-term explosive stock movements. And it's my own focus because that's what I'm doing. I'm showing you how I trade right now in these current market conditions. So if you need a little help with that and you want to learn in the smartest possible way, and you want to focus on the best stocks and the best times to trade, we typically have one simple classic pattern. There are 9 variations of this, and we go through them in the training. But essentially, it's all one simple pattern that you can use. We go through the trade management, the TTE, the timeout, the target out, or the exit out management system. And this is the real secret to our success. It's how do we protect our losses and maximize our rewards. And that's what the trade management system is. As I said several times, you'll never stress over which way the markets are going. You won't be spending hours flicking through chart after chart. We'll just be able to zero in on the most important stocks today. And the bit I like is you never read boring company reports, because I personally hate doing that. If you enjoy doing it, then there's nothing wrong with doing it. It's just not essential to success. What we do know is that once mastered, as you saw earlier, you'll start to see results very, very quickly, where we have lots of students with lots of success stories that we looked at earlier. And if you want help building trade confidence so that you can transition into the best possible trader that you can be, then send me a message. Like, I don't know if what we do is right for you. I generally don't know that. I'm not going to blow wind in your sails and say, yes, this is amazing. But if you want help and you want to learn this, let's just start the conversation. Send me an email, phil@antivestor.com. And we can chat a little bit about it. And if it is, we can talk about the next steps. And if it's not, I will always point you in the right direction. Because again, I'm not naive enough to think that what I do is the right thing for you, your situation. It may not be what you're looking for, but if you let me know what that is, I can at least point you in the right direction. So that's me. That's my shameless presentation, my shameless pitch. I do run a business on the education side of things. I've never been shy about mentioning that. So thank you for your time and attention. And if you want to talk more about it, then that's great. But one last thing is that was Thinning the Herd. And finally, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Have a wonderful weekend. Have an amazing holiday period. And if you're in our little community, I'll probably be speaking to you over the next few days anyway. With that said, thank you for your time. I will see you all next time. It will be in the new year. And I will see you then. And make sure you find time to smile and enjoy yourself. Until then, bye for now.